I'm your host, Vinny Berry. You are listening to the Wrestleville podcast, part of the Fans First Sports Network, where you can find this episode and all our other episodes where you snag your downloads or at Wrestleville.com. We also have a YouTube page where you can see clips and interviews of your favorite wrestling superstars. If you listen to us on Spotify and Apple, please give us likes and reviews. All that good stuff goes a long, long way. Well, my guest this episode are the Freelanders. Wes Barker and Marty Clay. How you doing, gentlemen?
We're doing great. We're doing great. Thanks for having us on.
Yeah, hey, I'm looking forward to talking to you guys. You guys are young men in the business. Wes, you've been in the business 3 years. Marty, you've been in the business 6 years. So you guys been around a little while and you're working together. Uh, Talk to me. What is it about pro wrestling for you guys? Obviously, you guys have a good chemistry and you have a passion for wrestling. What is it? What brought you both together?
Oh, we're cousins. He lived up in Canada. Things got hot down here. AMW, which is where I train, that's my home promotion, I would say is definitely the hottest promotion in Kentucky, probably in the entire Southeast. And I'm the AMW champion. I told Wes, I said, man, you got to get down here. We can work together. He came down. We started tagging. I've had a lot of success since he came down here, and it's trending upwards from now.
How do you guys feel like you complement each other? What does one bring to the table?
Well, what it comes down to is that the other tag teams out there, they're just tag teams by name, but Marty and I were cousins by blood. So when we get into the ring together, we have familial history going on in there. We got chemistry that you can't be taught. Um, from a strengths sort of way. Well, look at the muscles on this guy, right? Mario, look at the muscles on this guy. He's huge. So we do a lot of power moves, and stylistically we're pretty old school. One of the selling points that Marty gave me on coming up to Kentucky was the history of professional wrestling in the deep south, and that was real cool, and I wanted to come be a part of it.
Yeah, wrestling's been around a long time in this country. However, that is a strong area. That's a strong region for professional wrestling. Kentucky, Alabama, right? All those city or all those states over there. Tennessee's a good one too, right? So, uh, what is it? And Ohio, right? Let's not leave that out. That's really good. Indiana as well. What is it, Marty? If you were to tell me about the tradition of pro wrestling in that area, if you could put a word on it.
Ah, just history, man. A lot of legends have came through this area, and we're hoping to be the next. We're hoping to be legends in our own rights by the end of our careers. Like AMW, my home promotion that I mentioned earlier, we're traveling pretty much all the same places that the Poffos used to run back with ICW, Macho Man, Lanny, all those guys. It's awesome being in some buildings with a lot of history like that. And you go to these towns, and the guys that come to the shows that are 70, 80 years old, they remember that. And they remember how that made them feel. And it's awesome that now they're getting to watch us and have that same feeling again.
For my listener who's tuning into this, can you mention some of those cities and towns, and that way they can kind of like put the dots together?
Well, I mean, we're hitting everywhere from my hometown is Jackson. We're hitting Jackson, Hazard, Lexington, Irvin last week. We're in Pikeville this week, Pineville the next week. I mean, we're traveling somewhere, AMW somewhere every week right now.
Good, good. And Wes, when you look at the wrestling from Canada, where you started, to the wrestling here, I mean, what's the contrast?
The wrestling is wrestling, no matter where you are, and I mean, I don't change. Like, I'm the prospector Wes Barker. I'm gonna be that person in Japan. I'm gonna be that person in Canada. I'm gonna be that person here in Kentucky. Wrestling's wrestling, but something that's so interesting about this territory is how rich in history it is. You go to certain shows and just the legends that are in the room, you sit under the learning tree and you listen about the old days. And when that happens, you start to realize how you can take what was old and make it new again. And that's something that the Freelanders are real good at doing. When you see Marty and I wrestle, you're seeing something new, but you're also seeing something grounded in the history of this business and the history of this sport.
Is there a team that maybe you guys can compare yourself to, or maybe a team that has influenced you?
Not really. We had a great match this past weekend with the Heat Seekers. They're very old school. We're very old school. It was a classic tag team wrestling clinic.
The Heat Seekers are former NWA tag team champions of the world. And they put on master classes in the wrestling ring. And yeah, I wouldn't say that there's anyone that Marty and I, compare ourselves to. I mean, there's certain things here and there where oh, that was cool. But, at the end of the day, we're the Freelanders are the Freelanders, and that's that.
You talked about the rich history. You talked about the Poffos. Are the Poffos? They still get talked about in that region?
Everywhere you go, there's at least 2 to 3 fans that come up to me and they're like, "Man, I remember watching Macho Man and Leaping Lanny in this school," and it's like that's really cool. To know that you're wrestling in the same building that those guys came through, and people remember it.
Right. It's funny how some wrestlers, no matter where their career ends, that where they start is really where people associate them with,
Mhm.
right? When you think about, they probably hadn't, by the time they retired, they hadn't wrestled in that area probably for a while, right? I mean, on a regular basis, right? They might have done a one-off or come visit or something like that, but you know, uh, both those men's career either ended in, the independent scene, WCW, WWE. I mean, they were long removed from that area, so it's a lot of memories, right? And that's what wrestling is, memories.
Where a wrestler starts their career, you need to pay respect to who broke them in, where they broke in, these towns that showed up and bought tickets before Macho Man Randy Savage was a superstar. I think that's why so often the where someone's career began is brought up.
Yeah, and it's funny too because I grew up in North Texas, probably grew up about 5-10 miles away from the Von Erichs, right? And so when I go up there today, especially with me writing about pro wrestling, I've written about the Von Erichs, and with the wrestling podcast, of course, wrestling comes up in almost every conversation when my friends see me, right? However, the Von Erichs always do too. Hey, I saw the Von Erichs at that high school over there. Hey, you know what? I met Carrie at that gym over there. You know what I mean? And so it is funny. It's like, wherever the roots are, that's where the stories come out. It's like a lot of all those guys have been passed away for a long time. However, their legacy continues to live on. And what a great gift that is, right?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. So when you guys work together and you also too work with Chase Emery, right? Um, how different is Wes from Chase, and what does he bring to the table?
I mean, everybody's their own unique character. They're their own person. Wes, we gel better than me and Chase do just because we're cousins, and I've only teamed with Chase maybe twice, but I've been in a lot of locker rooms with Chase, and I know he's a great athlete. He's great on the mat. He's collegiate amateur wrestler. I think he was a state champion in high school. Like he's a tough dude on the mat. You don't want to get on the ground with Chase Emery.
Yeah, he's like a bear. He's like a bear. Like Tracy Smothers used to wrestle bears here in Kentucky, and I reckon that's similar to wrestling Chase Emery.
Whoa, afraid of him then.
He'll maul you, no.
That's right.
You gotta trick him. You gotta trick him, right? Throw something over there and then club to the back of that eye.
Hey, Wes, talk to me a little bit about the time that you spent with Booker T. How did all that come about? And just tell me what that experience was like.
Well, that was a childhood dream come true. So growing up, Booker T was my idol. He was the reason why I loved professional wrestling, and I got to meet him when I was 9 years old. And I remember when I did, I didn't say a word. I was just shell shocked. And once my wrestling career began, I decided to make the trip down to Texas and train with Booker. And when I met him in person that time, I had a few more words to say than I did when I was 9 years old. And that was a wonderful learning experience at the Reality of Wrestling, which is Booker's school and promotion. And while I was there, Marty and I actually got to tag team together as well on television. And that was a real neat experience. But no, I'm one of those rare people who got to actually live their childhood dream. So many people are Star Wars fans but they never get to meet, Darth Vader or swing an actual lightsaber. But for me, I was a Booker T fan, and I got to wrestle on his television show and train with him.
Yeah, I bet that's what a great experience, right? And the wealth of knowledge, and not only from him, right, but the talent that's there as well. I mean, he's got a lot of talented people. I'm familiar with his school. It's probably about 7 hours from where I'm at. However, I know a lot of people who've spent some time there, like Gino Medina.
Yeah.
He's something else. And did you have an opportunity to meet with him or work with him?
Yeah, I know. I had a few training classes with Gino, and he's a real professional in the ring during his training classes. Super detail oriented, and that's what I really appreciate about people like Gino is they go into that they go into those finer details of professional wrestling.
Marty, when during your career, and you've been in for 6 years now, but have you had that opportunity where you were like, wow, I can't believe I'm wrestling this dude? I mean, have you had that yet?
It was really cool working at Row at Booker's. I did a show with him here in Kentucky. He was booked at New South Wrestling. And I asked him to watch my match. He liked my work. Gave me his phone number. And I texted him, told him would love the opportunity to come down. He gave me a call and booked me. And then ended up letting me and Wes tag together, and so we realized we pretty good tag team.
Yeah.
And now here we are.
I know there's so many things in wrestling. It's not one thing. I know it's not one thing. However, did you feel when you were down there in Booker T's school, was there something that he emphasized, like really impressed upon, something that you kind of heard him say more than 2, 3, 4 times, something like, do this, don't do this, do this, don't do that. Did you remember hearing anything like that?
Booker T's a big teaching tool, and something that's emphasized amongst his students is accountability. There's mirrors all around the gym, and it's taught to look in them and look at the man looking back at you, look at the woman looking back at you, and take accountability for your actions inside the ring, outside the ring. And yeah, that's something that was definitely taught over at the Reality of Wrestling was who you are, you're responsible for.
Right. Right. Do you guys, obviously you still wrestle single matches, right? Do you enjoy the break from each other? Do you enjoy the, and I don't mean it like that as the break, but I mean, tagging, I'm sure is enjoyable, but it gives you a little more freedom, right? And gives you a little more time, right? In the ring when you're singles.
I don't know. Like, let's put it this way. Like, if you're, getting into a fight in high school or at the bar, would you rather do it by yourself or with your best buddy? I like nothing more than standing behind the curtain with Marty as our music's playing and looking over at him and going, "Hey, let's go kick these guys' ass." Right? You can't really say that if you're standing there by yourself. That'd just be weird. Like, people would look, did I just hear that guy talking to himself over there? But no. When Marty and I are on a roll in the ring, there's no better high. What do you think? I don't know.
Yeah.
Is that just me who feels that way?
It's awesome.
You agree?
It's like we got tiger blood.
So when Marty and I get together, it's like we're not from this terrestrial realm, right? We're functioning way up in the sky, way up in the epsilon of the universe.
Yeah, it sounds exciting.
It's good to watch too. It's good to watch too. If we're ever near a town near you, I reckon you go buy those tickets.
I will. I definitely will for sure.
Usually the people in the crowd have as much as fun as we do in the ring during a Freelanders match. And let me tell you something, the Freelanders have a lot of fun in the ring. A lot of fun in the ring.
What is it about the fans? Do they feel you?
Yeah, fans are always the number one fuel, like,
We fuel them.
yeah.
We fuel them.
I mean, it's a give and take.
It's a give and take. We give, they give it back, and then we take it. And it's the Freelanders. That's what goes on there. On that though, it's so true. Because that last question goes back to the one before, and it truly is that Marty and I have so much fun doing this. Like, we love this business. It's all we talk about. We drive on the road with each other for hours on end, and all we talk about is professional wrestling. We get to the show, right? Well, now we're professional wrestling. The show ends. We drive overnight, another, hours upon hours of talking about professional wrestling. The next morning, we're in the gym. What are we doing? Talking about professional wrestling and working out for it. Marty and I love this business. So like, yeah, the fans fuel us, but we fuel the fans because there's no place that we would rather be than inside the ring. And whenever we're not inside the ring, everything we're doing is just in preparation to be back inside the ring.
Right.
That's the Freelanders way of life.
Right. Hey, what do you hope to see yourself in the next 2-3 years? Short-term goals.
Honestly, a contract is the goal. Work for one of the big money companies. Make a great living doing this. That's the dream. Feel like that's 95% of wrestlers' goals is to be on WWE, AEW, NWA, anywhere you can make a really great living and feed your family for generations by wrestling, doing the thing you love. You can't beat that.
Right. And
Sure.
have you guys, you had the opportunity with Booker T. Have you had any other like run-ins with some legends like that praised you or gave you some advice or,
Rick Tracy's mother was, I was around Tracy and Marty
For a little bit. I got in 2019, and then I was around him pretty much my entire first year, and then COVID hit, and then Tracy passed. So I didn't get as much time with him as I would have liked, but I did get to sit under the learning tree a few times, did a couple seminars with Tracy. You know, I was on maybe 10 shows with Tracy that first year. And that was awesome getting to talk to him and just seeing like the love that he had for the business. You know, he really loved it. And he was like the type of guy that would help anybody. If you didn't know he was a name, you wouldn't know he was a name because he didn't act like a lot of the name guys will. You know, he was there. He was one of the boys, you know, through and through. He was helping everybody, watching every match, giving advice to everybody.
Yeah, I've heard that. I've heard that story that he was that guy, right? You know, Shauna Reed, um, who, Jeremiah Plunkett, Chris Michaels. You know,
Yeah.
all those guys have told me, you know,
We're around Chris a lot. I've had a couple matches with Chris. They've been great. Chris Michaels is untouchable in the ring.
yeah, a legend, dude. I mean, and probably hadn't gotten the dues that he deserves, right? I mean,
Have it.
yeah, incredible wrestler, you know. Absolutely.
Both Tracy Smothers and Chris Michaels have books by John Cosper as well.
You know what? I'm familiar with John as well, and I've actually I've read some of his books. I haven't, you know, the book I have read. I read the Larry D book. You guys know Larry D?
Yeah, I've known Larry for pretty much since I got started. I've done I don't know how many shows with Larry. He's a great guy. No,
Oh yeah.
super helpful, super nice, and great. Just a great guy. Great in the ring. Like I have nothing bad to say about Larry.
The book is good. I like the book. The book, if you read the book, you're gonna walk away with two things. You know, uh, the dude loved wrestling.
Yeah.
Passion and perseverance. I mean, that's what I took from that book, you know. I mean, I can't tell you how many times that guy was knocked down to the ground and got back up. Not knocked down to the ground and got back up, you know. In life and in the ring, you know. How did you guys meet John Cosper? How do you guys know him?
We met John Cosper at a wrestling show, and he had this table set up, and it was just full of professional wrestling books that he had written, co-written, some of them biographies, other ones fiction. And he's a real talented writer and does a lot for this business in the realm of, preserving the history of the workers. And we've purchased quite a few of John's books, and I'm a big fan of him. Yeah, Eat Sleep Wrestle is what he is his company, and eatsleepwrestle.com is where you can buy his books. And I recommend him to anyone who's a fan of the business, maybe not even a fan of professional wrestling, but you want to try to understand it a bit. John does a real good job of explaining it.
Oh yeah, yeah. And you know, I joke with him a lot. I've told him I've written a few books myself, and the difference between me and John is most of the people I write about are still alive. A lot of the people that he's written about have been passed away for decades. You know, it's like, wow, dude. You know, and on here I'm picking low hanging fruit. You know, and he's he's going deep, and it's like it's got to be challenging to do research like that.
John has one book called Grappling by Gaslight, which is about wrestling in the 1800s. And most people don't even know that wrestling existed in the 1800s, let alone the, in-depth history of it. And that's probably my favorite book by John. I really enjoy that one. Real good.
Yeah.
Tracy is also pretty incredible. Talks about wrestling live bears, which, by the way, is on the Freelanders to-do list. So if anyone out there listening has a live bear that wants to go,
Two live bears.
yeah, two live bears.
Might be the first Red versus 2
2 versus 2, right?
tag team match with
Yeah.
2 bears.
Yeah.
We want to do. We want to be the first to work a tag match against 2 bears.
So there you go, Vinny. If Hopefully one of your listeners out there has 2 bears in the backyard.
Well, I've got to get a ticket for that one.
Someone's got to do it, you know?
I don't know when the last time they've done something like that.
Completely outlawed now.
Yeah, I would imagine.
The way things have cracked down just all over the world, you're probably not even allowed to do that. And
Let me rephrase. If there's anyone out there with 2 illegal bears,
Hey,
willing to get in trouble. So let us.
you get in trouble, we're your guy.
yeah. Well, I wrote a book on Black Bart, and he told me, he said, yeah, they wanted me to do a match with a bear. He was like, what the heck? Yeah, he was like, he wasn't down for it, man.
Wait, someone offered and he wasn't down?
Yeah, he didn't want to wrestle a bear.
Well, we want to wrestle too.
All right, guys. So if someone's listening to this and they want to find you guys on social media, how they go about doing that?
I'm on Facebook, just Marty Clay. On Facebook, I should be the first one to pop up. And then I'm on Instagram, Marty Clay _. I'm on TikTok, Marty Clay Wrestling, and then Twitter, X, Marty Clay 1.
And it's Marty Clay with all the muscles, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's that Marty Clay.
It's the Jack guy.
Remind, I'm on Instagram and YouTube, and both are Prospector Wrestling.
All right. All right, guys. Well, it has been a pleasure talking to you. I really enjoyed it. Thank you for coming on.
Vinny, thank you for having us. We really
Yeah,
appreciate the conversation. That was a blast.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, man. Well, we'll have to do it again.
Well, we'll have to get you in the car ride on one of our 6-hour road trips because we passed the time well with you.
Well, if you guys ever come to Texas, I'm game.
Okay.
All right. You're listening to the Wrestleville podcast, where the wrestling fan lives.